and also feel proud of the fact that not just the shape I'm in, that it's actually I'm 60 year old. I feel like I'm probably in my 40s and I'm hitting the golf ball further than I've ever hit in my life. Now I've got actually not sure whether it's 6, but there's certainly a number of abs that are sort of poking through, and I enjoy sort of taking the top off and go for a run around the estate. But the added benefit was just the overall discipline of the program and just an empowered man. It actually makes me feel sort of more confident and sort of stronger mentally, I think, and I didn't see that happening. And I'm really surprised at actually how much change I've sort of seen over 18, 21 months. Just significant change. You've heard me a number of times say, Lord, this is me for life, right? I don't want to sort of get off this, right?
So today I'm joined by David Bartlett. Dave has recently turned 60 and he's been working with me inside Empowered Man for about 18 months now. Dave is a company director. He's a CFO across multiple businesses. He runs a team of staff, I think above 30 at the time of recording, and leads a pretty demanding and challenging career. Despite all of that, he's in a position now where he feels stronger, healthier, fitter than he has done for most of his life. Is that fair to say, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly in better shape than I can ever remember. So it's
Awesome.
It's a pretty good spot to be at 60. So
nice. Before we get into it, I should probably add that Dave is also my father-in-law. And so not only did he trust me with his daughter, he's also trusted me with his health as well. So hopefully I'm letting him down on either of those fronts.
Not at all. Not at all.
Awesome. So we'll start by rewinding a little bit. Let's go back to before you joined the program and you came on board. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what life was like for you back then?
Yeah, so I mean, if we look at sort of 2 years ago, I was still, I actually thought I was in pretty reasonable shape, right? And probably compared to a lot of people in their late 50s, I probably wasn't in bad shape, right? But I found that I was treading water a lot. So nutrition was pretty ordinary, and my gym was something that I did. So I knew I needed to get to the gym, but there was no sort of real intent when I went there. So I had a program which I'd sort of start and then I'd restart and stop and restart but I'd never really progress and see any sort of noticeable gains. So I actually sort of thought I was in pretty good shape, and I saw a couple of videos that my wife sort of took, and I thought, geez, I'm actually looking a little bit sort of chubby around the middle, and not as good a shape as what I actually thought I was. So maybe my mirror sort of told lies and gave me a false impression of what I. But So it was more just I wasn't completely overweight. I probably needed to lose some weight, but I just felt like I needed to tone up and sort of get some discipline into what I was doing. So that's the essence. So, and look, you being my son-in-law, I'd obviously sort of seen your program and seen the success you'd had with other guys, and so that was probably the trigger point for sort of saying, well, let's get sort of serious about this. And I just remarried to a younger woman. I'm thinking I need to actually sort of keep in shape and be strong and be able to sort of do stuff for the next sort of 20, 30 years, right? So.
And was there, you mentioned the trigger, was there an actual moment or something that happened that led to you sort of reaching out and us having that conversation?
It was I mean, there was a thought for a number of months as to should I do it? And I suppose the thing that was sort of holding me back was the unknown of the commitment, and not the financial commitment, but the actual, thinking that this is going to take up a lot of my time, and I was incredibly busy with work, and thinking, am I going to be able to sort of fit this in, right? And even traveling or deadlines, am I going to have time to actually get these gym sessions in or whatever, right? So that was the key I suppose concerns I had, but then yeah, it was more just sort of thinking that I'm 50, I was 58 at the time, that I needed to do something to actually look at sort of longevity and being in the almost like the best version of myself, and yeah, just pull the trigger basically. So
yeah. So you had a few doubts about whether you were able to commit to it sort of fully, obviously around the business, the work, the travel, all the other commitments that you had at the time.
Yeah, I did, and but I mean, those doubts were unfounded basically. So what I found when I did sign up with you was that the actual hours I actually spent in the gym were probably less, but were just a lot more focused, and the program that I was doing, and you probably know very well the program, the 12 weeks sort of program that just seemed to get longer and longer every week, and almost became unworkable. Whereas the sessions that we do, it's basically 45 minutes, which is 3 times a week, which is an easy task for me, right? So that was the key thing, was actually going, well, this actually is doable, and look, I have a gym session planned this morning, and I chose to sort of sleep in for a little bit extra, but I know that I'll catch it up tomorrow. It's not like, oh, the program stuff now, I've missed a session, I'll have to sort of start again, or I'll just fall off the wagon. So
it's a bit of a mindset shift there in terms of managing the expectations around what's needed.
Well, I think probably in the last 6 months, I think I'm getting a lot better at sort of listening to my body, and making decisions around that. I don't think I've actually missed sessions for, so I do sort of catch the sessions up, and that's because I want to. I'm actually very keen to do that, but I do actually listen to my body, and think if I do need an extra hour's sleep, then maybe that's more beneficial than getting up early and flogging myself at the gym.
Yeah. So it's understanding that the recovery is equally as important as the actual training itself, and allowing yourself the actual time and space to do that, and maybe not continue to push the envelope as you may have done in the past, and led you to a point where something breaks or you can't continue.
Absolutely, it's more that sort of the old way of thinking was sort of trying to get to the gym sort of 5 or 6 times a week, and push, rather than realizing that the recovery is such an important aspect, and sleep as well, which I'm still having sort of constant battles with, but understand the importance. So yeah. So for me to actually defer a session, it's not I missed a session. I just move it around, right? And that's,
so having that sort of flexibility within the program itself to fit it around your actual lifestyle, your travel schedule, your work, everything else that's going on as well.
Absolutely, and actually finding now that both nutrition and the gym work is almost sort of second nature. And I'm not saying I go to the gym and just go through the routine, but I will get halfway through a morning and even forget that I've been to the gym. It's just something that's just sort of inbuilt into me. And the same with nutrition, which you would know in my early days. You're saying, cut out that cereal in the mornings, and the wheat bix and stuff like that, right? So I was living by myself, and these were the easy sort of things for me to sort of grab, and Um, so the nutrition side sort of took a while to sort of get dialed in, and now it truly is sort of second nature. I used to go to breakfast with you guys, right, and I'd have a big sort of fry up or something like that, right, and I'd see you sort of select something that had sort of decent amount of protein and was a lot healthier, and I'm thinking, oh, you're making me feel guilty again, right? But now I'm
It's
that
you.
man, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I do it. So it's second nature. I'll try and select, um, sort of the lunch places around work that sort of sell the healthy food, and I actually enjoy it.
Yeah. That's
So
interesting
I'm
because
still make sure.
it's different. It's one thing knowing what you should be doing, right? And knowing that that breakfast is probably more nutritious and better for you than this breakfast. But actually putting that into practice, understanding why, and then feeling the benefits yourself when you actually do that is probably the biggest one.
Oh, absolutely, and sort of it's almost like that. The protein sort of first thinking as well, and so I'm hardly ever sort of really hungry, and certainly in the mornings, it's almost like that sort of that second nature sort of thing of just having sort of like standard meals where I don't actually have to think about what I'm going to have, and it's just after the gym I sort of will do a protein shake with banana and some stuff, or I might have yogurts and protein and oats and berries and stuff like that, and it's just a simple easy thing for me to do rather than
Yeah.
wait for my wife to cook me sort of bacon and eggs or something like that.
Yeah. So tell us a
Um,
little bit. Obviously, you made quite a lot of changes there in terms of nutritionally, based on your recovery, sleep, training wise. What has this whole all sort of led to for you? What's different about you now?
Look, I mean, at the moment, I just feel like I feel like I've got a lot more sort of discipline and confidence. I actually, um, I mean, obviously, love the sort of shape that I'm in now. So, um,
What
the Rob
shape are you
Morgan
in?
sort of.
Tell us about it.
Well, I my wife would sort of stir me up about sort of when am I you promised me sort of six pack and stuff like that, when am I going to see it, and now I've got actually I'm not sure whether it's six, but there's certainly a number of abs that are sort of poking through, and I had a DEXA scan week and a half ago, and so the body fat's down to 12%, which is considerably different to what it would have been 2 years ago, and can visibly sort of see, so there's basically hardly any sort of fat on there, and I actually, yeah, so I enjoy sort of taking the top off and go for a run around the estate or at a resort, and feel proud of and also feel proud of the fact that not just the shape I'm in, that it's actually I'm 60, right? So I'm actually quite happy to sort of say that I'm sort of 60, right? It's almost like
Yeah.
a, um, yeah,
Badge of honor.
yeah, yeah. It is a bit, yeah. It's a bit strange, and it was a sort of a year that I was dreading in a way, for a number of reasons, but it's at the moment it's like I feel like I'm probably in my 40s, and I'm hitting the golf ball further than I've ever hit in my life, and that's not just basically getting it out of the middle. It's the swing speed and ball speed and stuff. So I can sort of see videos from 2 years ago where my swing speeds increased considerably. So there's all those sort of benefits of just the power and stuff, and just wanting to be sort of in really top shape, when I'm 70 and sort of traveling around the world with my wife and doing that sort of stuff. So, um, not sort of joining some sort of seniors tour and getting on and off a bus and stuff. So,
Yeah.
uh, still like to be sort of hiking and doing all sorts of stuff. So,
So how
um,
has that also transpired then across into the work aspect in terms of how you carry that into your day to day?
yeah, I think. I think for work wise, I think I think there's a lot more sort of discipline and yeah. So nutritionally, physically, I feel great, but I also think there's a way of the mindset of being able to sort of tackle problems and having energy to get through stuff and actually just yeah. I mean, I've got stresses from multiple different businesses, staff, cash flow issues on different businesses, and just being able to mentally sort of juggle all those. And you look, I do have my moments, but I think I'm handling those a lot better than I ever had. So uh, and and even now, I'm still sort of going through that process of going, well, I can't do it all, right? I can't do it all on the weekend. So just prioritize what needs to be done and push stuff out. It's not going to kill anything, right?
Yeah.
There's certain deadlines with clients or whatever that actually need to be done, but other stuff can be just pushed out and just not trying to sort of kill myself, just making sort of sensible decisions and being disciplined about it. So,
And what would
yeah,
you say? What would you say that's down to? Where do you say that's come from?
well, I think a lot of it's, I mean, a lot of the Empowered Man sort of program, I think it for me is discipline across all sort of facets. So I just, I just find that yeah, everything I'm doing now, I'm sort of thinking about sort of what's my priorities. So even today was sleep was my priority rather than gym, and that means that I can sort of be in a better shape to sort of tackle a few sort of hairy things today, which I know was on my plate, but now not really. Don't have me sort of worried as much, but just know that I have to sort of get them done. So I'm actually more confident now in being able to sort of tackle those matters. And even though I could list out today 20 things that basically need to be done, right?
Yeah.
I'm not panicking about it. I'm actually going, okay, I've got this, and I can sort of delegate and manage and basically work through it without.
Yeah. So
Without
you're channeling some of those values in terms of the discipline, the work ethic that you've obviously developed within the training and the gym, and you're sort of
yeah, and
feeding that into the business and into work.
I think so, and I think that was sort of probably the added benefit, Rob, that I didn't sort of see sort of happening. Right, it was the nutrition and physical sort of side of things, and feeling strong and fit. So I wasn't getting into this program to lose 30 kilograms. I was probably 90 kilograms, and I'm now down sort of to 85, and I think that's a really good number. But given like I am 190 something centimeters, so it's actually a good number for me, and I actually don't really want to sort of really lose any more. But so that was that side, and I'm really happy with that. But the added benefit was just the overall discipline of the program, and just empowered man. It actually makes me feel sort of more confident and sort of stronger mentally, I think, than and I didn't see that happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that. And look, I still have my challenges, as you know, but my clarity of thought is a lot better, and my ability to prioritize family and other activities as well into my life is much better. So
Awesome. So out of all that we've just discussed, obviously in terms of the progress that you've made and the transformation and the changes, what would you say that you're most proud of?
I suppose most proud of sort of being 60 and in a shape that I'd always sort of dreamed about being in, right? And then looking forward to my 60s in a way that I'd never thought of. So yeah, I'm really sort of happy in life, and actually really looking forward to the next 10 years of continuing this sort of program, and actually probably getting sort of stronger, and actually sort of sort of seeing what it's going to be like at 70, right? And sort of saying, well, I probably can't believe that I'm sort of 70 and still looking like this, right? So I, that's how I sort of feel, right? It's actually an exciting time for me rather than
So you're
anything
just
else.
continuing to look ahead and be excited about what more's to come.
Absolutely, and sort of looking at buying another house and looking at traveling and looking at those sort of things and going, well, at 60, a lot of my mates are sort of winding down and retiring, and I certainly can't see myself ever retiring. I'd probably be like my father, although he doesn't get paid for the stuff he does. But I can't. But I can see myself always sort of working to some extent. But I think this type of sort of program and the way I'm sort of feeling sort of health wise, I can sort of just see this sort of continuing for 10, 20 years, right? I seriously, when I sort of see people playing really good golf at 80 or hiking and doing all these other stuff, and I'm thinking, well why not me? So, yeah.
So continuing to get stronger, continuing to improve, not just being happy with where you're at now, but you're still striving to push yourself for more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm not sort of saying, okay, well, great. I look in the mirror now, or I sort of do the scan, and I'm at the point where I think, wow, this is great. The results over the last 18, 21 months, I think, have shown what I can do, and I'm so happy about it, right? I'm so excited by it, but I don't want to sort of stop there. I know that if I stop, then so the bad habits sort of come in, and maybe I sort of go to the gym, but I'm not sort of really going there with intent, and I'm just sort of going through the motions again, and gradually I sort of start sort of putting on weight, and so that's where I'm sort of heading. I don't want to sort of stop. It's something a lot of diets and programs are very much sort of short-term sort of sugar hit type of things, where you can lose some weight very quickly or whatever, right? But I find the nutrition side of things, and well, actually both sides. The nutrition side, I just do without sort of thinking it almost, and I know sort of going to dinner, getting to the dinner sort of stage, I know sort of how many sort of calories I need, and I know so much protein I need, and luckily my wife's a great cook, and she basically sort of looks after in that regard as well. But it makes it a lot easier, and again, even the alcohol sort of stage, and in the early days you go, dude, you're having too many nights where you're having a wine or something like that. I'm sort of the stage where I still like a beer or a wine, but I hardly ever touch it now. So and it's not because I'm becoming a teetotaler or going. I just find that I just don't need it anymore, and so yeah, it's fantastic. So I'm quite happy to have a soda water.
Okay, so if there was a guy in your shoes, let's go back to sort of before you came on the program, guy who's had a very successful career, businessman, similar sort of age bracket to you, that's thinking that life needs to start slowing down. What sort of message would you give to him?
Yeah, so for me, it's basically sort of saying, like, you can actually change your life, right? So basically, don't accept the fact that you're just going to get a little bit fatter and a little bit slower and have some joint issues and those sort of things, but actually sort of take charge of your life and actually feel it. I'm sort of in part of our business is into sort of life sciences and longevity, and I find that longevity is basically what I'm doing now is biohacking, if you want to sort of call it, or it's actually doing stuff without the supplements, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like that's what I'm doing, right? Is just actually, yeah. So living sort of longer, but living
Better.
younger, longer,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, better. Yeah. Just feeling younger and feeling fitter longer, right?
So
So
not
I was
only are
sitting
you
on it.
just mitigating the impact of getting older, you're actually almost reversing that and actually feeling better than what you might have 5, even 10 years ago.
Absolutely, and I've told you before. I in my 30s, I had a chronic sort of back problem and couldn't play any sport and went to a back surgeon that I was working for a football club and went to a back surgeon to see what he thought, and the first thing he looked at my X-rays and said, "You're going to have both hips replaced by the time you're 60." And I'm going, "Oh, great!" I didn't even know I had bad hips at the stage, right? So I'm 60,
You should get back in
and
touch with that guy.
exactly,
Now.
so that's exactly right. So I actually feel like, um, doing the resistance training. So my business partner, is almost the opposite, right? So no muscle tone, and everyone says you should be doing resistance training, and he's now sort of eating healthily, and so you can sort of see that has a good impact on him, but it's actually building up the muscle, which then impacts on bone density and actually sort of makes us stronger. So that's where I'm sort of heading. I always sort of want to sort of test out, the the whole sort of aging thing, and it's inevitable we're going to get older. That doesn't mean we actually have to sort of feel it.
Yeah.
And even sort of seeing my dad sort of, 20 years sort of trying to get out of a canoe and stuff like that. And I used to think he was a strong sort of man, but no real core muscle and to be able to sort of pull himself out of a canoe. So yeah, that's where I want to be. And that's what I would sort of say to these guys is that it doesn't take much, right? It's not a massive investment of time. And it's just a bit of discipline around nutrition and yeah, basically you can do it too, right? I mean, there's a lot of people who sort of comment on how good a shape I'm in, and I say, well, it actually doesn't take up much time, right?
Yeah.
They're quite happy to sort of talk about the Netflix series they watch on TV and stuff like that. But I can go to the gym and that's one episode, right?
Yeah.
So that's the type of thing. Is actually just saying that just because you're in your late 50s or you're 50 and you're thinking, okay, we're going to get older and it's natural that I've got a bit of a gut and I'm not in great shape, and I just know that happens when I get older. It doesn't have to be that way, and I'm really surprised at actually how it doesn't happen overnight, but how much change I've sort of seen over 18, 21 months. It just significant change, right? Even when you guys left Phuket a year ago, the comparison from then to now, so yeah, that's what I'm sort of saying is that these guys, it's never too late. I wished I'd sort of started this earlier, but I'm glad I started it when I did, right? I would have loved to have started it when I was 50 or 45, but
Yeah.
the fact that I've actually done it, and you've heard me a number of times as saying, "No, this is me for life, right? I don't want to sort of get off this, right? It's not just a quick fix to get down to a certain level, certain weight, and then I'm okay, because I know I've got some self-discipline, but I do find your program and the fact that it sort of changes things up in the gym every sort of 3 or 4 weeks, and that sort of stuff actually adds variety rather than sort of just going through and doing the sort of same same exercises all the time. And I see guys in the gym just almost sort of going around and sort of almost doing a couple of reps on each machine, and exactly. So yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, if you're 55, if you're 60, if you're 65, it's not too late to sort of actually sort of turn things around and actually get in some decent shape.
Yeah, love that, Dave. And I'm sure you're a great inspiration for many to show them, you know, just what is possible as you age, and you can continue to get stronger, healthier, fitter. Doesn't matter what age you are.
No, I agree, and I think the annoying bit is that I sort of get comments, oh, you know, it's genetics and stuff like that, and I'm thinking, so have a look at my parents, right? It's not genetics, right?
Yeah. Come and see me at 5:30 in the morning in the gym. That's where the genetics are coming from.
No, absolutely, right? So, you know, people go, really, you know, so absolutely, and that's what. But I love that feeling, and I love the feeling of sort of having been to the gym, and then that sort of actually, it gives me energy for the day as well. So, yeah.
Awesome.
And I also don't like going to the gym when there's too many people. So first thing in the morning is brilliant. So.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for coming on, mate, and sharing that journey. Like I said, I'm sure it's going to inspire some others to take that leap as well, and to not allow the sort of feeling of getting older to slow them down, and to actually make a bit of a change for themselves. Appreciate you.
No, brilliant, mate. No problem.